Hey everyone, welcome to another video blog here on Soundbites. I haven't done one of these in a while, which means you haven't seen me touch my hair compulsively for a very long time. This is usually what I do when I'm you can see myself, right? Right now it's just pinned to a, not really a beehive, just pinned back. My hair is usually in a bob. I didn't have my flat iron, I forgot it back at home, so yesterday I was avoiding disaster and I just blow dried it straight, pinned it and hope for the best and put some product in it and just try to pretend like I meant to make it really messy. I went to the Z Cavaricci Jean event, like denim preview, where they showed us their new collection coming out that'll be available sometime in April. They had really cool stuff. I love that they're playing around with jeggings and trying to manipulate the waistband, adding elastic in some spaces, and some one of them it was like all elastic all around. So just being able to see what they're doing in order to make clothes more functional, more accessible, more stylish for plus size women is really interesting. And I think it's a privilege for me to be able to be in that space and to hear that conversation and to give my opinions, and also seeing their reactions when I say I really want denim harem pants, and then them just sort of they're looking at you like, well, what do you mean? Why would a woman who's a size 18 or 16 or whatever want harem pants? Like, why would you want those? Because to them, all they know is most of the population of women who wear plus size clothing who mostly just want clothes that make them look thinner, or clothes that just fit and that they can just that are functional and not really willing to take risks. But I love being able to push that and sort of having my voice heard and saying like, there are people who want these clothes. I know it might not be super profitable for you, but I want them, so make them, please. So yeah, again, that was really exciting. And Gabby from Young Fat and Fabulous was there, and Amalia from Double Vision. I love meeting people and hanging out with people from different blogs. I mean, of course, I've known Gabby for a while, but meeting Amalia from Double Vision was great. We hung out before for drinks, and we went to Forever 21 for a few moments, the one in Times Square. So that was great, just having conversation, meeting people, and talking about the motivations for their blogs, and also just being able to see that we are people, and we all have these goals of what we're doing our blog for, and to see how different we are, but yet we all have the same intention, and it's always great to be able to meet them and talk and have these conversations and have fun. So I've been writing about different things today. I'm writing a lot about love, womp womp, but in a good way. I think this is sort of what I love to do. Sometimes I think I'm just like one big sap of like corniness, but I love writing about this and processing something that's so vital to our lives, and talking about relationships. So I was just writing about presence, and not gifts, but the gift of being present, and how in relationships, to be really loving, you have to be present and you have to be there and willing to engage with someone. And recently I had a conversation with someone, and they just weren't listening, and we're like together for like an hour and a half, and I would just tell them stories, or I would just be listing things, or just having my thoughts and coming out things you do with friends, and then looking at them and them not reciprocating it, and how I felt in that moment, and how I just felt like, wow, that is really hurtful, to be sharing parts of you and not have someone be engaged in it. So it clicked to me like, wow, that's a very big part of who I am, being able to have conversations with people. And then I think about the people that really mean the most to me, and how much they're so invested in what I think and what I say. And of course I reciprocate that, and I try to be just as engaged in what they're saying. But that's a part of love, is being present, and not just having not just showing up, but really actively participating in your relationship with that person. So filtering through all that, writing about that, also writing about school dances and my experience with them. I was always at school dances. I went to them all the time. I was always the one in the middle, dancing and rapping all the like lyrics and singing. That's just me. It's like very extroverted. But also when the slow dances came up, writing about that and how that formed my identity in terms of dating, and how I saw myself in those roles. When you're when you're 5'7" in the 6th grade, that definitely shapes who's going to ask you to dance, which is usually no one. And also when you're fat, how does that shape who's going to ask you to dance? Usually no one. And so just writing about what that did for me and how I then looked out in the world. And I always think it's interesting that I could have taken the route of really hating myself and saying I need to change to be better, right? To be better for them or to be wanted by them. But instead, I kind of took another whole perspective on it, which I think is just as damaging. My idea was like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need to dance with boys, and that's not, like, who cares? Like, they don't want me, I don't want them. I'm just going to do what I need to do. But that also has its own consequence when you're older and you're trying to date people and you're still thinking, I don't need someone. And that's not true, because you do. So I'm just writing about that today, so that's sort of on my brain. Yeah, that's sort of, I'm really excited to be here in New York, just to be with friends and hanging out and just pretending like this is my apartment in the city, of course. And so I also wanted to answer a question from a reader. She wrote in yesterday and she said, "Hi, I'm a senior in high school and I've been following your blog for a couple of months. I saw that you mentioned you attended an all-women's college, and I was wondering if you could describe how your experience was. I've been recently accepted to a Simmons College in Boston, and I would love to attend, but I'm still questioning on whether or not I would miss out on a real college experience if I attended an all-women's college. Did you feel like you had a memorable college experience? Thank you so much, and I hope will have time to respond." So, here's my thing. Real college experiences, and this is my perspective and only for me, college, and I think I could say this because I'm 25 now, and my college experience was very unique in that I had a lot of difficulty and went through a lot of identity issues, and not unique in that way, but that I think I sort of have a grasp now on what happened and what made it difficult for me. But it's the time when you're going to make the first choices of your life. This is the first time you'll be able to choose your major. It's the first time you'll be able to choose who your friends are. You'll choose your own classes. You'll be really actively engaged in what your life is going to be like in the future. And that's what college is really about. It's about learning how you're going to make these choices, what's going to influence you, what matters to you, what are your values. And so the real college experience is about really developing yourself. So you want to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be in the best environment that's going to allow you to be the best you in the future. With that said, you have to choose what that means. So there's your first choice. And for me, being at a women's college, that was the most amazing experience. Like, I think that is the reason why I blog. That's the reason why I think my voice as a woman, as someone who's emotional, someone who is driven not by analytics, not by numbers, or not by what is right and like following a procedure. I think it was the first space where my voice was honored, that it was okay for me to think the way I thought, and that my voice was valuable. And so now when I blog, I'm like, hey, what I say is important, and it's an important part to bring to the conversation. And I also met so many different types of women who thought differently than me, and learned that they were my allies. And so when I think of my friends now, and most of them are women from college, they're the women who we were able to have really great conversations about. This past weekend we talked a lot about hip hop and the influence of hip hop on our children and what that does, and then also talk about dating, and then talking about healthcare and all these different things, and we're able to have these conversations in a very constructive way. And also, while I was in college, I never really thought of myself as being at a women's college. I always thought of myself as being in an environment that was really trying to prepare me for the big world, and the real world, and saying that I just believe that they're pushing you to believe that you're capable of doing whatever you want, no matter where you are. It's not about saying, people say, oh, will you be able to talk to men later? And it's like, of course I can, because I'm just so confident in myself, and I really believe what I'm thinking is valuable. It doesn't matter who I'm speaking with. So there's definitely a confidence you gain from being at a women's college, because the assumption is that you're all smart enough, you're all capable enough, and women can be whatever they want. So to me, a women's college is the real college experience. I don't know any other. People worry about, like, oh, are you ever able to meet men? And it's probably not the same as other women, that my relationships with the men I met in college are very different in that they are really great and amazing friends. I think the men I met in college who went to Haverford are absolutely amazing, and I love that our friendships are really based in sort of like a brotherhood, sisterhood kind of type of dynamic, and that um, I was able to know them in a very different context, and they're people that are really important to me still to this day. And also, being in Boston for you is going to be much easier. I went to Bryn Mawr, which is in the suburbs, a little bit more removed from the big city, but in Boston you'll be able to meet people and go out and have a good time in the city and still have that part of your life that's valuable as a 20-something year old, or 18, 19, 20-something year olds. But I'm always an advocate for women's colleges. I think for me it pushed a really great agenda in terms of like being who you are, and I had difficulties with it and I had to figure that out, but I'm still very grateful for the space and the things I learned about myself in that context. And of course, for the people I've met, my friends are my lifelong friends, and they're always going to be a part of my life. And I think being at a women's college and being in that environment where you're not competing with each other made that possible. But I really love them and care about them. So, women's college, I say yes. I vote yes, always and forever. Yeah. So, thank you so much for writing in, Cynthia. Good luck with your college admissions and the whole process in choosing a school. I hope you pick the one that's best for you, and I'm sure you'll succeed wherever you are. So, thank you guys for watching the video blog here at Soundbites. I'm wearing the City Chic mesh top that I absolutely love. It's oversized and huge and big and super comfy. So if you're looking for something to buy from them, this is the one to buy. Thank you so much, and have a great day, guys.